The alarm screamed through the control room of the human emergency response ship Rapid Fire. Commander Jake Morrison jumped from his chair and ran to the main screen. Red warning lights flashed across the dark bridge as his crew rushed to their stations. "What do we have, Lisa?" Jake asked his pilot, Lisa Grant, who was already checking the incoming signals. "Priority 1 distress call, Commander," Lisa said, her fingers moving fast across the control panel. "It's the Stellar Majesty, that big luxury cruise ship with all the different alien species on board." Jake knew the ship well. The Stellar Majesty was famous across the galaxy. It carried 50,000 passengers from 12 different alien races. Rich families, diplomats, and tourists all traveled together on the massive vessel. It was supposed to show how different species could live in peace. "Where are they?" Jake asked. "Near the Keth Nebula," Danny Walsh, their engineer, called out from his station. "That's bad news, Commander, really bad news." Jake felt his stomach drop. The Keth Nebula was one of the most dangerous places in this part of the galaxy. Radiation storms moved through it like hurricanes. Gravity wells could crush ships or pull them apart. Most pilots avoided it completely. "What's their problem?" Jake asked. Kate Phillips, their medical officer, read from her screen. "Total engine failure. All their backup systems are down too. They're being pulled toward a neutron star." "How long do they have?" Jake asked. "Less than 18 hours before they cross the point of no return," Ryan Burke, their tactical specialist, answered. "After that, nothing can save them." Jake looked at his small crew. 5 humans against impossible odds. It was a normal day for them. "What about other rescue ships?" Jake asked. Lisa checked her communications panel. "The Zentari emergency response team is 3 days away. The Velian collective ships are 5 days out. We're the only ones close enough." "Of course we are," Jake said with a bitter smile. He had seen this before. When things got really dangerous, only humans showed up. The communication screen flickered to life. A tall, blue-skinned Zentari appeared. His large eyes looked worried, but his voice stayed calm and logical. "Commander Morrison," the alien said, "I am Director Keth of the Zentari Emergency Council. We have reviewed the situation. A rescue mission into the Keth Nebula is impossible. The radiation will kill your crew. The gravity wells will destroy your ship. You must wait for proper support." Jake shook his head. "Director, those people will be dead in 18 hours. We can't wait." Another screen opened. This time, a group of floating, jellyfish-like creatures appeared. The Velian collective spoke in their strange musical voices. "Human Commander, our calculations show a 97.3% chance of mission failure. This rescue attempt will only result in more deaths. Logic demands you stay away." "Logic," Jake said quietly. "Right." He looked at his crew again. Lisa was already plotting a course into the nebula. Danny was checking their engines and making modifications for the dangerous journey. Kate was preparing medical supplies for multiple alien species. Ryan was loading their weapons in case they ran into trouble. None of them asked if they should go. None of them suggested waiting for backup. They all knew what they had to do. "Director Keth, Velian Collective," Jake said to the screens. "Thank you for your advice. We're going in anyway." The Zentari's eyes grew wider. "Commander, this is against all Galactic Safety Commission protocols. You do not have authorization for this mission." "Since when do humans wait for authorization to save lives?" Jake asked. He cut the communication and turned to his crew. "You heard them. This is a suicide mission. Anyone who wants to stay behind can leave now." Nobody moved. Lisa was already starting the engines. Danny was rerouting power to their shields. Kate was studying medical files on all 12 alien species aboard the cruise ship. Ryan was tracking the neutron star's position. "Stupid question, Commander," Lisa said with a grin. "Where else would we go?" Jake smiled back. This was why he loved his team. This was why humans were the only species that volunteered for emergency response duty. Other aliens were smarter, stronger, or had better technology. But when everything went wrong, when the odds were impossible, only humans kept moving forward. "All right, people," Jake said. "Let's go save 50,000 aliens who think we're crazy for trying." The rapid fire turned toward the Keth Nebula. Behind them, the safe zones of civilized space grew smaller. Ahead, deadly radiation storms and crushing gravity waited. Somewhere in that nightmare, 50,000 beings were about to die. Jake watched the swirling clouds of the nebula grow larger on their screen. He had been in situations like this many times before. Impossible rescues, crazy plans, and odds that made other species give up. But humans were different. They had something other aliens didn't understand. They had hope. ETA to the nebula? Jake asked. 47 minutes, Lisa answered. Time until the Stellar Majesty crosses the point of no return. 17 hours, 32 minutes, Danny said. Jake nodded. Plenty of time to get killed trying to save people who would never understand why humans risked everything for strangers. Let's go remind the galaxy why emergency response is a human job, Jake said. The rapid fire disappeared into the deadly nebula, carrying 5 humans toward their greatest challenge yet. The rapid fire shook like a toy in a storm as it entered the Keth Nebula. Purple and green clouds of deadly gas swirled around the small ship. Lightning made of pure energy cracked across their path. The ship's metal hull groaned under the pressure. Radiation. Levels are climbing fast, Danny called out from his station. His hands moved quickly over the controls, trying to keep their shields working. We're taking a beating out here. Lisa gripped the pilot controls tightly. Sweat ran down her face. As she guided the ship through the maze of gravity wells and energy storms, the navigation computer kept beeping warnings telling her to turn around. She ignored it. Computer says we should go back, Lisa said with a tight smile. Good thing I don't listen to computers. Jake watched the main screen as they flew deeper into the nebula. Other ships had tried to cross this area before. Most never made it out. The few that survived came back damaged and scared. But Lisa flew like she was born for this. She seemed to know where the safe paths were before the sensors could find them. How do you do that? Ryan asked, watching Lisa avoid another gravity well that would have crushed them. Just feels right, Lisa said, turning the ship hard to the left. A moment later, a bolt of energy hit the space where they had been. My dad used to say flying is like dancing. You feel the rhythm, then you move. Jake nodded. This was what other aliens didn't understand about humans. They relied on computers and sensors and careful planning. Humans used their gut feelings and adapted as they went. It shouldn't work, but somehow it did. Contact ahead, Kate said, looking at her scanner. It's huge. That has to be the Stellar Majesty. The cruise ship appeared through the purple clouds like a floating city. It was 20 times bigger than the rapid fire. Lights flickered along its sides where they shouldn't be flickering. Pieces of metal floated away from its hull. The ship was slowly spinning as it fell toward the neutron star. They're in bad shape, Danny said. I'm reading massive system failures all over that ship. Jake opened a communication channel. Stellar Majesty, this is Commander Morrison of the Human Emergency Response Ship Rapid Fire. We're here to help. Static filled the channel for a moment. Then a voice came through speaking in the clicking language of the insect-like Keth species. Human ship, we are beyond help. Our engines are dead. Our life support is failing. We have 50,000 passengers from 12 different species, and none of our emergency systems work anymore. We'll dock with you and assess the situation, Jake said. Impossible, the Keth voice replied. Our docking systems are damaged, and even if you could dock, how can 5 humans help 50,000 beings? Jake looked at his crew. They had asked themselves the same question many times before. The answer was always the same. We'll figure it out, Jake said. Lisa brought the rapid fire close to the massive cruise ship. The docking port was twisted and broken, but she managed to connect their ships using the emergency clamps. It wasn't pretty, but it would hold. Suits on, everyone, Jake ordered. We don't know what the atmosphere is like over there. The team put on their protective suits and crossed into the Stellar Majesty through the damaged airlock. What they found inside was chaos. The ship's corridors were filled with panicking aliens. Tall, gray-skinned Zentari stood perfectly still, paralyzed by too many choices. Small, furry Velians huddled together in groups, afraid to move. The aquatic, Mirren had flooded their sections and were swimming in circles. Energy beings called flux flickered in and out of sight, destabilized by the radiation. "This is worse than I thought," Kate said, looking at her medical scanner. "The life support systems are failing differently for each species. The Zentari need cool, dry air. The Mirren need warm water. The flux beings need pure energy fields. But the ship's computer keeps switching between different emergency protocols." Jake watched as a group of Zentari argued with some flux beings near a control panel. Neither species could understand what the other needed. Their different emergency procedures were making things worse. "Why aren't they working together?" Ryan asked. "Because they can't," Jake realized. Each species evolved on different worlds with different dangers. Their emergency instincts are all wrong for this situation. A Keth engineer approached them, walking on 4 insect legs. His compound eyes looked at the humans with something like hope. "You are the human emergency team?" the Keth asked. "But there are only 5 of you. How can 5 beings save 50,000? Jake was about to answer when Danny's scanner started beeping loudly. "Commander, I found something," Danny said, kneeling next to a damaged control panel. "This engine failure wasn't an accident. Someone sabotaged this ship." Jake felt his blood run cold. "What do you mean?" Danny pointed to the twisted wires and burned circuits. "Look at this damage. It's too precise, too planned. Someone knew exactly which systems to hit to cause maximum chaos." Kate was scanning the crowd of aliens around them. If there's a saboteur on board, they could still be causing problems. That's why the emergency systems keep failing. Ryan checked his weapon. 50,000 suspects from 12 different species. This just got a lot more complicated. The ship shuddered around them as it fell deeper into the neutron star's gravity well. Lights flickered. Somewhere in the distance, an alarm was screaming. Aliens were crying out in languages the humans couldn't understand. Jake looked at his small team. 5 humans against impossible odds, and now they had a saboteur to deal with too. "All right, people," Jake said. "We've got 17 hours to save 50,000 aliens and catch a saboteur. Just another day at the office." Despite everything, his crew smiled. This was exactly the kind of impossible situation they lived for. The Stellar Majesty groaned like a dying animal as it fell deeper toward the neutron star. Jake felt the deck shake under his feet. Through the ship's windows, he could see the deadly star growing bigger. Its massive gravity was pulling them, and faster now. "How much time do we have left?" Jake asked. Danny checked his scanner. 14 hours until we cross the point of no return. After that, nothing in the galaxy can save us." Jake gathered his team in a quiet corner of the main corridor. Around them, thousands of aliens moved in panic. The Zentari were still frozen, unable to decide what to do. The Velians had formed into tight groups, too scared to help anyone else. The Mirren were demanding that the entire ship be flooded so they could swim. The flux beings flickered in and out of sight, becoming weaker every minute. "We need to split up," Jake said. "This ship is too big for us to handle as one group." "Split up?" Kate asked. "Commander, there are 50,000 panicking aliens on this ship. If we separate, we might never find each other again." "We don't have a choice," Jake replied. "Ryan, I need you to find that saboteur. Someone on this ship caused all this trouble, and they might still be making things worse." Ryan nodded and checked his weapon. "Any idea what species I'm looking for?" "Could be anyone," Jake said. "Just look for someone who knows too much about the ship's systems." Jake turned to Danny. "I need you to figure out if we can get the engines working again. Even partial power might buy us more time." "On it, Commander," Danny said. "But I'll need help from the alien engineers. Problem is, they're all too scared to think straight." "That's where Kate comes in," Jake said. "Kate, you're our people person. See if you can get these different species to work together instead of fighting each other." Kate looked at the chaos around them. "That's like asking oil and water to mix. Commander, these species have completely different ways of handling emergencies." "Then teach them," Jake said. "Show them how humans would handle this." Lisa had been studying the ship's navigation system. "What about me, Commander?" "You're with me," Jake said. "We need to find a way to change our course. Maybe we can't escape, The neutron star's gravity, but we might be able to use it. Use it how? Lisa asked. I don't know yet, Jake admitted. But you're the best pilot I know. If anyone can find a way to fly us out of this mess, it's you. The team split up, each heading to a different part of the massive ship. Jake and Lisa made their way to the main bridge, pushing through crowds of panicking aliens. The bridge was in chaos. Alien officers from different species argued at their stations. The Zentari captain stood perfectly still, overwhelmed by too many emergency procedures. A Velian communications officer was curled up in a ball, too frightened to work. 2 Mirren navigators had flooded their section and were swimming in circles. Nobody's in charge here, Lisa whispered to Jake. Jake stepped forward. I'm Commander Morrison of the Human Emergency Response Team. We're here to help. The Zentari captain turned his large eyes toward Jake. Human, this situation is impossible. We have 50,000 beings with 50,000 different needs. Our computer systems cannot handle so many conflicting emergency protocols. Then we ignore the protocols, Jake said. The aliens on the bridge stared at him like he had said something crazy. Ignore the protocols? The Zentari captain asked. But protocols exist for our safety. Without them, we will surely die. Your protocols are what's killing you, Jake said. He walked to the main navigation console. Lisa, can you plot a course around the neutron star instead of away from it? Lisa studied the screen. Her fingers moved over the controls, ignoring the warnings that kept flashing. It's crazy, but it might work. If we time it exactly right, we could use the star's gravity to sling us back out, like a rock from a slingshot. That is impossible, the Zentari captain said. The stress would tear the ship apart. Maybe, Jake said. But staying on our current course will definitely kill everyone. Sometimes you have to choose between probably dead and certainly dead. Meanwhile, across the ship, Ryan was hunting for the saboteur. He moved through the corridors like a detective looking for clues. In the engineering section, he found what he was looking for. A tall Zentari engineer was working alone at a control panel. But unlike the other Zentari, who were frozen with indecision, this one moved with purpose. He was doing something to the ship's backup power systems. Ryan watched from the shadows as the Zentari carefully damaged more circuits. This alien knew exactly which wires to cut to cause the most problems. Having fun? Ryan asked, stepping out into the open. The Zentari spun around, his large eyes wide with surprise. Human, I was trying to repair these systems. By cutting more wires? Ryan asked. I don't think so. The saboteur dropped his tools and ran. Ryan chased him through the ship's corridors, past groups of panicking aliens who scattered out of their way. In the medical section, Kate was trying to get different species to work together. It was like trying to mix oil, water, and fire all at the same time. The Mirren need humidity, Kate explained to a group of Zentari medics. The flux beings need energy fields, but you all need to breathe. There has to be a way to make this work for everyone. A Zentari medic shook his head. Impossible. Their needs conflict with ours. Logic says we must choose who lives and who dies. Kate felt anger rise in her chest. Logic says you're all idiots. Humans figured out how to live with completely different people thousands of years ago. If we can do it, so can you. She grabbed a Zentari and a Mirren and pushed them together. You, she pointed at the Zentari, know about air systems. You, she pointed at the Mirren, know about water systems. Put your knowledge together and find a solution that works for both species. But we have never worked together before, the Mirren said. Then today is a good day to start, Kate replied. Back in the engine room, Danny was having his own problems. The alien engineers were all experts in their own fields, but they couldn't agree on anything. Every species had a different way of fixing engines. Stop arguing and start working, Danny said loudly. I don't care how you do it on your home worlds. Right now we're all on the same ship, falling toward the same star. Either we work together or we all die together. A Keth engineer clicked his mandibles nervously. But our repair methods are incompatible. Then make them compatible, Danny said. Humans do it all the time. As the hours passed, something strange began to happen. The humans' calm confidence started to spread to the aliens around them. Species that had never worked together before began sharing ideas. The panic slowly changed into determination. But time was running out. The neutron star was pulling them closer every minute, and they still didn't have a plan that could save everyone. Jake looked at the navigation display and felt his heart sink. Even with Lisa's slingshot idea, they would need more power than the ship could produce. "We need a miracle," he said quietly. "Then we'll make one," Lisa replied. "That's what humans do." The neutron star filled the view screen now, a spinning ball of death that pulled everything toward it. Jake could feel the ship shaking harder as they fell deeper into its gravity well. They had less than 6 hours left. Ryan dragged the saboteur onto the bridge. The Centauri's arms were tied behind his back, and his large eyes looked angry instead of scared. "Meet our friend," Ryan said, pushing the alien forward. "His name is Vorth. He's the one who sabotaged the ship." The other aliens on the bridge stared in shock. The Centauri captain stepped closer to examine the prisoner. "Vorth? But you are one of our best engineers. Why would you do this?" Vorth's voice was cold and bitter. "Because this ship is wrong. All these different species mixing together, pretending to be friends. It goes against the natural order. Each species should stay with their own kind." Jake felt sick. "So you were willing to kill 50,000 innocent people to prove your point?" "They were never supposed to die," Vorth said. "I only wanted to disable the ship near a civilized system. Other Centauri ships would rescue our people, and the mixed species experiment would end. But you picked the wrong place to break down," Ryan said. "Now everyone dies because of your hate." The Centauri captain looked ashamed. "Commander Morrison, I apologize for my species. Not all Centauri think like this." "I know," Jake said. "Right now we need to focus on saving everyone." Lisa was still working at the navigation console. "I've got the slingshot course plotted, but we need a lot more power than this ship can produce. The engines are too damaged." Danny's voice came over the communication system from the engine room. "Commander, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is I've got Centauri, Keth, and Mirren engineers working together. They've never done that before." "What's the bad news?" Jake asked. "Even working together, we can only get the engines up to 30% power. That's not enough for Lisa's slingshot plan." Kate's voice joined the conversation from the medical section. "I've got aliens from 6 different species treating each other's injuries. They're sharing medical knowledge they've never shared before, but we're running out of time and supplies." Jake stared at the neutron star on the screen. They needed more power, but there was no way to get it from the damaged cruise ship. "Unless, Lisa," Jake said quietly, "what if we use the rapid fires? Engines?" Lisa turned to look at him. "Commander, you mean sacrifice our ship?" "Think about it," Jake said. "We could position the rapid fire behind the Stellar Majesty and use our engines to give them the extra push they need. It would be like strapping a rocket to the back of the cruise ship." The aliens on the bridge listened in horror. "But that would destroy your ship," the Centauri captain said. "And whoever pilots it would die." "Not necessarily," Lisa said, studying the numbers on her screen. "If we time it exactly right, the pilot could evacuate to the cruise ship just before the engines overload." Jake shook his head. "It's too dangerous. The timing would have to be perfect." "Then it's good that I'm the best pilot you know," Lisa said with a smile that didn't hide her fear. Jake wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. Lisa was the only one who could pull off such a dangerous maneuver. "There has to be another way," Jake said. "There isn't," Lisa replied. "Commander, this is what we do. We take the dangerous jobs so other people can live." Across the ship, the human team was making miracles happen. Danny had Centauri engineers teaching Keth workers how to reroute power systems. The Centauri were logical and precise, while the Keth were creative and flexible. Together, they were fixing things neither species could repair alone. Kate had created the first multi-species medical team in galactic history. Mirren doctors were sharing their healing techniques with Centauri medics. Flux beings were using their energy powers to help treat radiation sickness. Even the frightened Velians were helping by organizing supplies. Ryan was coordinating security, getting natural enemies to work together. Keth and Zentari had fought 3 wars in the past century, but now they were protecting each other from the ship's failing systems. But the real miracle was what Jake saw happening everywhere he looked. The aliens were starting to act like humans. They were taking risks to help strangers. They were ignoring their instincts and protocols to do what needed to be done. They were choosing hope over fear. All teams report, Jake called over the communication system. Engine team ready, Danny said. We've got 35% power now. The aliens are working faster than I've ever seen. Medical team standing by, Kate reported. Everyone who can be moved is secured for high acceleration. The aliens are taking care of each other like family. Security team ready, Ryan said. No more sabotage. Everyone's focused on survival now. Navigation ready, Lisa said from her position at the controls. I've uploaded the course to the Rapid Fire's computer. When we get close to the neutron star, I'll transfer to our ship and give these people the push they need. Jake looked around the bridge. Aliens from different species were working side by side, sharing information and helping each other. A month ago, most of them had never even talked to aliens outside their own species. Now they were risking their lives for each other. 5 hours to point of no return, Danny announced. Jake opened a ship-wide communication channel. Attention all passengers and crew. This is Commander Morrison of the Human Emergency Response Team. In a few hours, we're going to attempt something that has never been tried before. We're going to use a neutron star's gravity to sling this ship to safety. 50,000 beings listened in silence. It's going to be dangerous, Jake continued. It's going to be scary, but you're not alone. Look around you. Every species on this ship is working together to save everyone else. Zentari are helping Mirren. Keth are working with flux beings. Natural enemies are becoming friends. He paused, looking at the mixed group of aliens on the bridge. This is what humans learned long ago, Jake said. When everything goes wrong, when the odds are impossible, you don't give up. You don't just save your own kind. You save everyone you can, no matter who they are or where they come from. The ship shuddered as they fell deeper toward the neutron star. But for the first time since the crisis began, Jake felt hope. They might not survive, but they would face the end together. All teams prepare for slingshot maneuver, Jake ordered. Let's show this galaxy what's possible when everyone works together. The neutron star filled half the view screen now. Its surface spun so fast it looked like a blur of deadly light. The stellar majesty shook violently as massive gravity pulled it closer to destruction. 1 hour to point of no return, Danny announced, from the engine room. His voice was steady, but Jake could hear the tension underneath. Lisa was already suited up and ready to transfer to the Rapid Fire. Her helmet was tucked under her arm, and she looked calm, despite what she was about to do. You sure about this? Jake asked her quietly. Been sure since we started this job, Lisa replied. Besides, someone has to fly that ship, and I'm the only one crazy enough to do it right. Jake wanted to order her to stay, but he knew she was right. The plan required split-second timing and perfect flying. Lisa was their only chance. Remember, Jake said, you transfer back to the cruise ship the moment before the engines overload. Don't try to be a hero. Lisa grinned. Too late for that, Commander. We're all heroes today. She put on her helmet and headed for the airlock. Jake watched her go, knowing he might never see her again. On the bridge, aliens from 12 different species worked together at stations designed for only one species each. A Zentari helped Amiran read the navigation display. A Keth engineer shared tools with a flux being. The Velians, who usually hid from danger, were helping coordinate communications. All stations report ready, the Zentari captain said. Jake was surprised to see that the alien was no longer frozen with indecision. Working with humans had taught him to act fast and trust his instincts. Engine room ready, Danny called out. We've got 40% power now. These alien engineers are amazing when they work together. Medical team secured, Kate reported. Everyone who can be moved is in crash positions. The ones who can't be moved are being held in place by volunteers from other species. Security team standing by, Ryan said. No panic, no fighting. Everyone's focused on helping each other. Jake opened the communication channel to the rapid fire. Lisa, how do you look over there? Engines at full power, Lisa answered. I've got the computer calculating thrust vectors. Jake, this is going to be close, really close. The neutron star's gravity was pulling them faster now. Jake could feel his stomach drop as they fell toward the spinning monster. Through the ship's sensors, he watched the rapid fire position itself behind the cruise ship, like a tiny tugboat behind a massive cargo vessel. 30 minutes to point of no return, Danny announced. Jake looked around the bridge. The aliens were scared, but they weren't panicking anymore. They had learned something from the humans. When everything went wrong, you kept working. You kept hoping. You never gave up. Lisa, begin acceleration sequence, Jake ordered. The rapid fire's engines lit up like a small sun behind them. The cruise ship lurched forward as the extra power pushed against the neutron star's gravity. For a moment, it looked like they might break free. Then alarms started screaming. The stress is tearing us apart, Danny called out. Hull breaches on decks 12 through 15. We're losing atmosphere. Emergency teams to the breach sites, Kate ordered. Immediately, mixed groups of aliens rushed to help. Centauri used their logical minds to find the best repair methods. Keth used their small size to reach damaged areas. Mirren sealed leaks with their natural secretions. Flux beings provided emergency lighting. We're not going to make it, the Centauri captain said, watching the damage reports. Yes, we are, Jake said firmly. Lisa, more power. Engines at 110%, Lisa replied. Any more and they'll explode. Then give me 120%, Jake said. Jake, that will kill the engines. I won't be able to get back to your ship. Jake closed his eyes. He was asking his pilot to sacrifice herself to save 50,000 strangers. But that was what humans did. That was why only humans served as emergency responders. Do it, Jake ordered. The rapid fire's engines screamed with power they were never designed to handle. The cruise ship shot forward like a bullet. The neutron star's gravity grabbed them and flung them around its surface in a deadly dance. Jake felt like an invisible giant was trying to crush him. The aliens around him were pressed into their chairs. Some passed out from the acceleration, but they were moving away from the neutron star now, using its own gravity to escape. Lisa, get out of there now, Jake called over the communication. System static was the only answer. Lisa, respond, Jake said, his voice getting desperate. More static. Then, faintly, Lisa's voice came through the interference. Sorry, Jake, engines are locked at full power, can't shut them down, can't transfer back to your ship. Jake felt his heart break. Lisa, no. Find a way. There is no way, Lisa said, and Jake could hear her smiling through the words. Tell my mom I died doing what I loved. Tell her I saved 50,000 people today. The rapid fire's engines finally exploded in a burst of light that lit up the entire nebula. The blast gave the cruise ship one final push, sending them safely away from the neutron star's deadly grip. Jake stared at the empty space where his ship and his pilot had been. Around him, 50,000 aliens were cheering and crying and hugging each other. They were alive because one human woman had given everything to save them. 3 days later, rescue ships arrived to take the survivors home. The story of the rescue spread across the galaxy like wildfire. News reports talked about the impossible, save and the human pilot who died to make it happen. Jake stood in a medical station, still recovering from radiation exposure. Through the window, he watched ships from a dozen different species working together to help the survivors. Something had changed in the galaxy. The barriers between species were starting to break down. A group of alien officials entered his room. There were Centauri, Mirren, Keth, Velians, and others. They all looked at Jake with something like wonder. Commander Morrison, the lead Centauri, said, "We have analyzed emergency response data from across the galaxy. Human teams have a 73% higher success rate in multi-species crises. We understand now why only humans volunteer for emergency response duty," a Mirren added. "It is not because you are stronger or smarter. It is because you never give up hope." A Keth engineer stepped forward. "You taught us something important. When faced with impossible choices, humans do not calculate odds. You simply decide that failure is not acceptable. Jake thought about Lisa and all the other humans who had died saving strangers across the galaxy. "We're not special," he said quietly. "We just believe that every life is worth saving, no matter what species." "That," said the Zentari official, "is exactly what makes you special." Months later, Jake was back on duty with a new ship and a new crew. But now his team included aliens from other species who had learned to think like humans. They had learned to take risks for strangers. They had learned to hope when hope seemed impossible. The galaxy had learned why only humans served as emergency responders. And slowly other species were learning to serve alongside them. Jake looked at his mixed crew and smiled. Lisa would have been proud.